Hey ho, Wendy's Fan Pen News. I started the video and I didn't really start the video. I just took a photo. I don't know, whatever. So we're starting over. This is the 8 More Pen Questions 2025 hashtag. Simone, thank you so much for doing this. And Simone's Discord channel, bum bum bum, and Leanne and everyone who's been involved. So I have to back up and say, do you have different uses for different pens? The obvious answer is I write with all of them. I doodle with all of them. Yes, of course. But yes, I have certain pens that I use for very small grid things. Like I have Jinhao 10s. I have Pilot Vanishing Point. I have several of each. What I really like about the Jinhao 10 is that I don't worry about it. I can stick it in my bag. I can stick it on the, in one of my little books, and I just don't worry about it. And I can loan it to somebody. I've pen-abled people with these. So something like this with a fine nib or something smaller, so Jinhao 10 or Pilot Vanishing Point. And then the next one I had is the Greek Key Franklin Christoph Model 3M, which means it doesn't have a clip. This one has a 14K double broad nib on it, as you can tell from the writing. And this has a shimmery ink in it, and so it's super fun for writing letters, or if I'm going to write chonky in my journal, I'll use something like this with a really fatty nib. And as many of you know, I'm kind of a flex enthusiast. And so I always have flex pens and I use them for particular things. I use them for addressing envelopes. I use them for adding flourishes. And I really love a flex nib that allows me to write regularly and flex. And this is an example of that. This is actually a Schoen Design full-size pen. But inside of it, I have a Kirkspear Centurion flex nib. Now, don't everybody get excited. Kirkspear does not make flex nibs anymore. I was lucky enough to get these secondhand. But you can see that I can get very thin writing with it. And then when I choose to flex it, it gives very juicy, flexy writing. And so those are kind of the 3 main categories, and I use those for writing letters or making notes in my journal. Those are kind of the 3 categories. So something I have to write small with, and then something I can write big with, and then something flexible so that I can do a little of both. How do you choose the inks? This is number 2. How do you choose the inks and pens you will use next? It is chaos clown circus. I basically choose something that's new. Something that, for example, I just received a Visconti Homo Sapiens from the Atlas Experience pen sale. And so, of course, I had to ink that up right away. And I chose an ink for it that is very shading. This is one of Simone's favorites, Hydrangea. And so, of course, this is in the lineup because I had to have it inked right away to try it out. It's a stub. It's pretty flippin' sweet. I was really worried because of what I've heard about Viscontis and their nibs, and this one's actually beautiful. It's a beautiful nib. It's a Bronze Age, and it's freaking lava in it, which is awesome. So that's one example of that. Another example is like this Franklin Christoph Wonder Pens exclusive walnut. I love the resin on this. I don't like brown pens, but I like this. I like that it's a pop cap. I like that I have a really fun ink in here. I don't even remember what it is, but I really like to have this. I just wanted to have this inked up. It had run out of ink, and so I re-inked it. And so really, I just, by the seat of my pants, I go, oh, that looks like it'll go well with this, or this is new. I should ink that. And so I have no rhyme or reason. I don't plan out like, I haven't used this in a while. I haven't used that in a while. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, I really miss a pen. And so I'll pull that out and ink that up. But it's really just chaos theory. In fact, I'm going to write it down. Chaos. Chaos is how I choose my next pens. Which pens do you prefer for a longer writing session? I think most people have said this. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump you. I think most people have said that they prefer a broader a girthier pen for a longer writing session. And so I brought this out as an example. This is a Bone Crusher 7 Velma, and it has actually a Schoen Design monarch nib on it. But if you look at the kind of girth of this, and the threads are imperceptible. And so I really like the combination of the very thick section, and I can use any nib in this. It takes a Yovo. So I'm going to say girthy. This has kind of a light ink in it right now. And let's see, what was the other thing I said? Soft threads. And a great nib. I mean, you know, I'm not going to keep writing for a long time with a nib that isn't making me happy. And this Monarch is really cool because it's the cursive italic forward, so it's thick down and thin across. And in the reverse, it's an architect. So it does really well with capital letters. So this is an example of something I would really like to write with on a longer writing session because of those things. And another example that I chose, I really like to use pens that are multi-purpose. And so I have this Scribo feel in the Mediterraneo color. Mediterraneo. Yep, you got it. And this one is a fine, I believe, flex. And so I can write with it in fine. I can kind of, you know, just like write normal. And then it actually has a really nice amount of flex in it. So I can write headings. I like choices is what I'm saying, people. It's kind of what I'm into, is having lots of choice. So those are the kinds of pens I like for longer writing sessions. This next question is really difficult and it changes all the time, but these have been my favorites now for a little bit. And the question is, what is your all-time favorite pen? And I have to say, I just got this, so it is a favorite right now because it's brand new. This is a Leonardo Supernova. It is tuned by Les Sheely from Stylo Suite. It has the 14K elastic extra fine, and it is tuned perfectly. It is so fine. It's extra fine. It is so smooth and wet, and yet I can squeak out just a little bit of line variation. Listen, be careful, it's not a flex nib, and it definitely isn't, but it just gives me that feeling of like I can see a lot of ink going down on the page, and I really love it. It's really delightful to hold. It has an ink window. The resin is gorgeous. The gold trim is gorgeous. It came from my buddy Les, so that is a super favorite. But the thing that I've been writing with the most in the past few weeks I ordered this from the Philly Pen Show from Les Sheely from Stylo Suite. And this happens to be an Edison Collier in Juniper Pearl. And it has Les's, it's a fine italic, gotta make sure I get this right, X-Wing Harpoon. Okay, so you can see that as I'm writing, it gives a nice character to my lines because it's giving me thick downs and thin across because it's ground to an italic, but it's not crisp, it's still very smooth. And then watch this. So he modifies these so that they can flex like crazy. And I honestly don't flex them that much. I mostly just write with this regular, and I have filled it 12 times in the time that I've gotten it, and I've had it for like 3 or 4 weeks. It has the perfect ink pairing with it that I am adoring, and so this is my favorite pen right now. And I told Les when I was looking at it that I wasn't sure I'd like that little tapered section, and he said, I think you'll get used to it. I think you'll really like it. And he was right. I really do. So this is my favorite pen right now. It goes with me everywhere, and I write with it in my journal every single day, sometimes pages and pages and pages. And I just like that. Oh, and another thing, this is kind of typical of Les's nibs. It will also write just fine in reverse. So I have all of those options to write kind of normal, fine italic, flex baby. And just so you know, this does have an ebonite feed on it, but it's a cartridge converter pen, and I'm able to flex like that with a cartridge converter pen. So it's amazing. That is my favorite pen right now. Let's see. If you had to choose a nib size, what would it be? And I feel like this is a cheating answer, but I'm going to answer it anyway this way. If I chose a nib size, it would be a broad or a double broad, because then I can have a nib grinder grind it into anything I want. But if nib grinders weren't an option and I had to choose a round nib forever and ever and ever, it would probably be medium. I mean, I like a medium nib, but I like choices. As you can see, I like everything from extra fine to quadruple broad. So it would be sad if I had to choose one nib size. Number 6, let's scoot up here. I'm excited to talk about this one. What is your favorite nib grind? And I probably didn't give myself enough space here, but my favorite nib grind is Kirk Spear's Imperial. This was the first one I had him do. It is a Century 3776, and it started out as a broad nib. And the Imperial is kind of a cursive smooth italic in the front. So thick down, thin across. And so you can get some kind of line variation as you're writing, just with that forward motion. And then on the back, he leaves very monoline. And so it makes this thick marker-like, in all directions, beautiful, juicy, thick line. And I love it. I love the Imperial. I have it on a number of different pens, all the way from broad to fine. I thought I'd show you one in fine. This is my friend Michaela made this gorgeous pen. It's White Bear pens. You can see her little finial there. And I have on it a 14K Imperial. This one is in fine. And so you can see it's still the same concept. Thinner down, or thicker down and thinner across. It gives you some line variation. And then in the reverse, it's just a round, juicy kind of almost like a felt tip marker. You can write, you know, just something to be able to highlight something. You know, you can write something like that and then highlight it with these other ones, this other side. I just think it's really cool. I love the Imperial. And then what I didn't leave myself enough room for, which I'm going to have to do maybe on the other page, maybe I'll flip the page. This is a new favorite grind. This is something that I bullied Gina Solarino from Custom Nib Studio to take this home with them to California and do for me a Spencerian modification. And so this is a Pilot number 10 FA nib. It came out of a Pilot 912. And it is so extra fine. I mean, so extra fine. So extra fine. And I don't have to press at all to get that. And then as I start to increase the pressure, I'm able to get these really beautiful thick lines, and it flows through beautifully. I had put an ebonite feed in this. And so one of the words I love to write in Flex, or in anything really, is lovely, except for I can't spell it, lovely, because it has ascenders and descenders. But this is an extraordinary experience. And Jeannie usually has this at their table for you to try out. I highly recommend it. It's really, really great, especially if you're into flex writing at all and you want to have that snapback of the extra, extra fine. They reduce the tipping on this, so it is much thinner than a traditional FA from a number 10. And I've got it in an eyedropper because it just smokes through the ink. But even just when I write with my normal handwriting, it gives me great line variation. And so that is another favorite grind of mine of late. Number 7, if you could choose only one ink for the rest of your life, what would it be? I am with Maria Rousseau on this. Who is making me choose? They are not a good friend. If I had to choose a brand, I would probably say Diamine because they have such a wide variety. They're usually very well behaved. They have great shimmer inks. They now are coming out with permanent inks. I think I would say Diamine for a brand. For a particular ink color, I think I would go with Pilot Suiyoku, which is this one over here that I used. I used this on all of these for from my Edison Collier. This is the permanent ink pairing for that pen. So Suiyoku or Tsutsuji, which they discontinued, which is just madness to me. I love Tsutsuji. So I don't think I have, in fact, let me just see. I think this is Tsutsuji Pilot. Doesn't that look like that? Sort of. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but It works for now. And then the other one that I said is Suigyoku. So those are my two that I would choose. And don't make me choose. That's just mean. I don't like it. Number 8. What is an absolute deal breaker for you for an ink? A brown ink. I don't like brown inks. I didn't think I liked brown pens until I got this one. And Tim at Turn Pen Co. did such a tremendous job with this resin that I love this brown pen. But I cannot think of another brown pen that I own, to be honest. I love this brown pen, but I would never put a brown ink in it because I don't like brown ink. I just don't. I have some brown inks, and I don't know why. So if you like brown ink and you want me to send you some, I will happily do so. And then I will write it down with my brown pen that the ink I don't like is brown ink. I don't like it. I don't like brown. And then for a pen, there are several different things. I've got to consult my list here. For a pen, my deal breaker is, okay, if the section is too thin, I don't enjoy that. It makes my hand cramp up. If it has a, like a forced grip section, like a Lamy Studio, my hand cramps up with those too. Excuse me. And then a scratchy nib, and sometimes a metal section really bothers me. And sometimes it doesn't. I mean, like on this Shown Design, I've opened this up a number of times. It obviously has a metal section, but because of the taper on it, I don't slip around on it. It doesn't bother me, but sometimes a metal section will really turn me off and make me think twice. And then the bonus question, oh, I could write that down. Let's see. Scratchy nib is the big deal, or it won't write at all. That's just ridiculous. Nib won't write. Metal section, formed grip. I'm not saying I will never use these pens. I just won't use them. I won't reach for them a lot, I think is what I'm going for. And then what is one pen everyone should have? And I'm going to get real touchy-feely and say that the one pen everyone should have is a pen that makes them just fill with joy, and that they want to write with it and they reach for it and get so excited to write with it. Like I look at this pen that I got from Les and I just think, this is a work of art. This is gorgeous. And I love to write with it. So a pen you love to write with. Kind of your pen that you would leave the house with in a fire. As for like somebody getting into the hobby and doesn't really know what they want, I always recommend to people the Pilot Kakuno because it's a super easy pen to get started. It has a low barrier of entry. You don't have to buy ink. You can just use an ink cartridge. And it has a cheeky little smiley nib on it. How can that not make your day? This is the new Drowsy series. And so this is the one that I recommend, and I enable people with this one a lot. And there are a lot of different styles of Kakuno now. There are fine, extra fine, medium. I have even been known to take the nib out of a Kakuno and put it into a Prera just because that cheeky smile makes me laugh. So those are my answers to the 8 more pen questions. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys participate in this. I think it's really fun to kind of get to know each other better and get to know each other's pen preferences. And you can see from my page that I do not like black or brown ink because everything is super brightly colored. And we kind of joke that my preferred aesthetic is like psychedelic swirly pens, and some other friends are like black pens only. So I have a little bit of both, but I really enjoy my colorful and sparkly and beautiful pens. So thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. Share this with your friends. Get them to do the 8 questions pen tag. You do the 8 questions pen tag. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Pen news.